Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO. Thank you for tuning in today. Something that's going on statewide, have I seen a lot of people posting on social media about property taxes. We're going to talk property taxes. We're going to talk coronavirus, all that with my next guest, State Representative Dustin Burrows. Representative Burrows, good morning. How are you today?
Chad, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So you posted a video. I guess it was either over the weekend or on Friday. It was almost like Professor Burrows, on Facebook. And I want you to talk about this because a big, quite possibly one of the biggest pieces of legislation that moved through the legislature in the last legislative session was property tax reform. And I thought you did an excellent job of explaining, at the time, hey, listen, this doesn't mean all your taxes are going to go down. We're slowing the rate of growth, and we're making things more transparent. But still, Representative Burrows, there are some people who, and you've seen them on Facebook too, they're not too happy with what their property tax bills look like right now.
Well, Chad, I'm not too happy with my property tax bill looks like. I understand that. Look, I did this video on Saturday because I sat there and I watched, people all over social media frustrated, as I think everyone rightfully should be. They got their notice of appraised value in the mail. And they saw that it was, their appraised value for the most part went up. They're worried they're going to owe more in property taxes. And I started kind of engaging in back and forth trying to explain. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get a whiteboard out and I'm going to do a little 2-minute video. I thought it'd be helpful and kind of explain what everybody can do to help lower their own individual property taxes. And let me just give you kind of a quick thumbnail sketch of that. What you owe in property taxes is a combination of two numbers. It's not only what your land appraises for, which is what you just got the notice for, but also what the tax rate is. And I said, look, if your valuations are too high, you must and you need to go protest them. Here's how you do it. You can do it while social distancing. The comptroller has provided a lot of tools to do that. But here's the other thing, and this is what I talked about, a lot during passing SB2 and a lot of the video is there's also a tax rate that is set by your local taxing jurisdictions, as your city, your counties, and others. And you have representatives that you elect that are on, those local taxing jurisdictions. And if you want to see pay less in property taxes, you need to call them. You need to tell them. You need to tell them, say, look, I want to pay, less in property taxes. We have closed businesses, people out of work. You've asked us, to sacrifice, and we want to see some sacrifice on the part of, the city and the county. Maybe that's 5%, 10%, 15% or more, and go organize and do what you can to make sure that you see those expected property tax decreases. And so I put that out there on video, trying to help people and encourage them. If they want property tax relief, as I do, here's how you can help do it in the immediate future.
When you look at when you got the property tax bill in the mail, a lot of people are saying, okay, right now, I mean, the economy is closed. People's businesses may be closed. Will that have an impact on property taxes? Maybe not right now, but next year when property taxes come out again.
Yeah, so you didn't get the bill in the mail. You got your notice of appraised value. Your bill's not due till later. And so, to answer the question, your appraised value is a snapshot as your property was valued on January 1st of 2020. And next year will be on 2021. And so depending on how the economy does, we'll see what it looks like on 2021. But this was really kind of that opportunity to say, look, right now is when your local taxing jurisdictions are in the middle of budget season. Yeah. This is where they're planning. And if you want to pay less in property taxes, if you think, this is what needs to happen as I do, I mean, when the economy is in a downturn, we need to see tax relief, organize and go make your demands and then follow up and make sure at the rate setting hearing, people who told you they wanted property tax relief actually tried to give it to you.
What are you hearing? I know that when you were in the chamber meeting, what was that, last week, the legislative meeting?
Almost 2 weeks ago, Chad.
Gosh, it all runs together now. You had said, at least on the statewide level, we're not raising taxes. Don't think that we're going to be raising taxes on the statewide level. I think that's been echoed now by many down in Austin that they're not looking at raising taxes. And you were talking about cities are going to have to trim, counties are going to have to trim, the state's going to have to trim. We're going to have to start cutting the budgets. What have you heard from, maybe not specific cities, but what have you been hearing from local leaders? Because to me, I think a lot of them are going to try to get through some tax increases.
Yeah, I think that the voters are going to have something to say about that. I think that's going to be offensive to many. I mean, people are going to be stretched to their max. They're out of work. Their businesses have been closed down. Their revenue streams aren't what they are. And even if we were to open today, which I also in the chamber I was for, it's going to be a long time before they have the incomes to pay those. And so if people are going to try to get away with increasing people's taxes and sliding that under, I think it's going to be more offensive than it ever has been. And I'm trying to get that message out. It's just fiscally responsible to give people tax relief. If nothing else, keep it neutral, but try to give them, a little bit of their money back in this time where they need it the most. Something
else that you had mentioned in that chamber meeting, and some people commented on it afterwards, that you were saying, hey, it's time to reopen. We don't need task forces. We don't, not everybody has to have a task force. We could just reopen. We can reopen. The governor has a strike force. I saw some comments from folks going, well, is Representative Burrows going to have a problem with the governor having a strike force? So talk about that and why you're not necessarily a fan of everyone having their own task force.
Look, this is what I'll tell you. I have members on our local task force and the statewide strike force. They're smart people. They're good people. I wish them all the best. I hope they come up with some phenomenally good ideas. Put it all together. What I said, I guess it was almost 2 weeks ago in the chamber, is, you can't really task force your way out of this. Yeah. People need to be in control of their own life, and we need to move forward. I mean, Chad, we have the sentiment's this. We have the greatest economic system in the entire world. It is the envy of the world. It has lifted more people out of poverty and done more good for people than anything else has as far as economic systems has ever in the past. And the reason is because of the productivity of the American worker, the entrepreneurship of the small business. And I don't think I know there's nothing you can do to replace that. No ideas that can come out of any committee or government solution that can replace that. And so we just need to get that fire lit again and start moving forward. And that's where I am, and that's where I was 2 weeks ago.
When it comes to the oil prices that we saw yesterday, I think the comptroller sent out a press release saying, "Listen, one bad day is not going to make or break the Texas budget." But let's be honest, we've had a few bad days that are stringing together. And the longer this goes, the more bad days we're probably going to see. When do you start getting concerned, if you're not already concerned, about what the budget's going to look like?
I'm concerned of what the budget's going to look like, whether, we have extra income or not. I mean, it's always a concern. It's going to dictate a lot of policy. But I think that, there's more than enough signs for us to know that, at all levels of government, we're going to have to do more with less. That's really the message. And we saw some people, even, in my own party, maybe telegraph they thought that we should do tax hikes and try to do things like that. That is absolutely the wrong thing to do. We're going to see what the budget is. I think that it'll be less money than we would want to deal with. I think that we'll have a constrained budget, and we will figure it out. We will prioritize things, just as everybody's having to do in their personal household budgets, putting priorities where they need to be. That's what government's going to have to do, and we're going to have to make hard decisions. And very, very happy to serve and get a chance to do that for the people of West Texas.
Visiting with Representative Dustin Burrows here on the show. Let me ask you about the powers of the governor. The governor has wiped away some regulations out there, which I think show that we can survive as a state without those regulations. One of those regulations, and I think, restaurants are kind of liking it right now, which is, the curbside drinks to go and sending the drinks home, all that kind of stuff. But there's been other regulations that have been waived as well. Can we leave those regulations and those restrictions now that they've been waived? Do we have to bring those back?
No, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to prove that we don't need regulations, that markets can actually do things. Let's look at the healthcare sector. And Chad, we've been friends, and I've been on your show for over 6 years now. It's hard to believe. And I've talked a lot about having to bring, prices in healthcare down. We've seen a lot of ingenuity that, a lot of things the governor has waived with respect to telemedicine, with respect to licensing of nurses and scope of practice issues and other things of that nature. And this will, if there is going to be some good that comes out of this 6 weeks of, quarantining or, whatever we're doing, is we're going to prove that there's some things that we can do safely and hopefully allow some more competition in the market and hopefully help on the healthcare system. I'm really excited about the opportunities that arise from that.
Yeah. Also, have you been concerned with the scope of power that not only the governor has been able to wield, but mayors and county judges across the state, where they can just shut things down with the snap of a finger? Does that concern you?
Yeah, I mean, look, Chad, the very first thing that you really heard me publicly talk about during this this issue where we saw these executive orders come out was where we saw, here locally and across the state, mayors use this opportunity to shut gun stores down. And I fought back and I said that you can't do this. It was a Second Amendment issue, a right of self-defense issue. It was something that was in statute. And I wrote the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, and he agreed with me, and we opened it back up. I was looking at the same that had happened with churches both locally and across the state. And the governor, kind of beat us to the punch because he led on that. I'm very proud of our governor. He opened churches back up, another First Amendment freedom of assembly issue. I think there's a lot of other things. And again, something I had said even 2 weeks ago on that meeting was, we are not going to get this right. The Disaster Declaration Act was written in 1975. And I think members of all parties are looking at this and basically saying, yeah, when we wrote this, we were thinking hurricanes and tsunamis or, whatever the case may be, something that was more of a natural disaster that, you could actually see the damage to houses and things of that nature. And we weren't thinking about a virus pandemic. And so we're going to have to take a hard look at this at all levels and really make a decision about, what powers there are. And I am concerned. I mean, the Bill of Rights doesn't just go away because somebody declares that there's a pandemic. And so we're going to take a look at this. I will make a bold prediction that the Disaster Declaration Act, the Disaster Act, will be rewritten in the next legislative session to deal with some of the things that we have seen, from the local level on up.
And then finally, as everybody releases plans, does the governor have an ability to call or say we're going to have a sales tax holiday on all consumer goods over the course of a week or two? Because we have sales tax holidays on like back to school items and some other things that are out there. I think if everyone would have a sales tax weekend or a sales tax week or two on all consumer goods, people would be out there spending money and local businesses could get up and running again. Does the governor have the ability to do that, or is that a legislature?
I'm going to get myself in trouble because I'm not 100% certain of the answer, but I'm going to venture a guess. I don't think that he has the power to probably do that in an executive order.
Okay.
Because the reason being is I think that, all the bills that come through Ways and Means, you have specific statutes that allow for those exemptions, meaning that you have to be able to pass a law to do that. So we would have to be called into session, pass something like that and figure out where to go from there. So if I'm wrong, happy to admit it, but I do believe that it would take a legislative act to allow for a new sales tax holiday that's not already in existence.
Okay. All right. Very good. Representative Burrows, appreciate your time
Chad,
today.
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Of course.
Yeah, Elizabeth and I noticed that, the South Plains Food Bank was really, needed to serve a whole lot more people. We started a campaign last week, donated our own personal money within 24 hours, raised $12,000. That feeds about 2,500 children for a week and a half. And I just wanted to let everybody know there really is a desperate need at the South Plains Food Bank right now. We're starting a new campaign this week. And so if people are interested, I would encourage them to take a look at it and think about that because we really do have more children in need right now. And that's they can find information at spfb.org/Burrows Giving. And I wanted to get that information out there, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Very good. Very good. Representative Burrows, as always, appreciate your time. You and your family stay healthy, and we'll visit with you again soon.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you. That's Representative Dustin Burrows here on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, KFYO.